Hi, Milla. If I'm correct, you are a ballroom and Latin dancer, right?
Very much so. So I actually I was born to dance. That's what I always say. I knew what my passion was from day one.
Mm.
Unfortunately, life didn't go that way. But when I was in my 30s, so when I turned 30, I kind of had the epiphany that dance was something I really needed to, pursue, or it would be something I would regret on my deathbed. So
Yeah.
initially, it was very social. And then within a couple of years of doing that, for me, I'm someone that I need progress, and especially in this area that I've been passionate about. Once I started, I couldn't not do it properly. So I just needed to learn how to do it, how to excel, how to get better. And
Yeah.
in the years, I've been fortunate to find both a partner and coaches that have been able to start training me in a way that I can actually excel past kind of that social dance level and actually start becoming a more competitive dancer. So for me, there's been a lot of redefining limiting beliefs about what's possible at what age and in my own body, especially with where I've come from. So to do that, there's a very big element of needing to learn and understand, first of all, the psychology behind it all. And second of all, I haven't got time to waste, Lado. I mean, obviously I'll push as far as I can, but at the end of it all, I need to look back and know that I achieved as much as I could have. It's not about comparing myself to others. It's really like what you said. It's
Yes.
a very much knowing that I achieved my best. Yeah, that means everything to me. So when I saw your course, and it was very much about, hey, let's stop wasting time about how we're achieving skills. Like that really spoke to me. That really, when I saw it in a Facebook ad and I read it and I'm like, oh, this is something I really need to know about. I think reading your story too later, with your journey that you started your skill, what was considered late for
Yeah, very
you.
late.
Yeah, to see that you were able to make something so fantastic out of it. Like, to me, that's inspiring. And for me,
Thank you.
I really learned from someone like that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What was different about this program compared to maybe any other program or coaching that you might have tried or experienced?
One of the big things that your program gave me a complete model by which I could evaluate my training by. So we're not necessarily taught in any skill field like principles of learning, but they always come for granted or as a given in some cases. And like you
Yeah.
even talk about, naturals, it's almost like a given. But for me, what your course gave me, it was almost like, okay, a very tangible system or model by which I could go and troubleshoot and evaluate what I was doing with my training. And it was able to also evaluate it on a number of areas. So not just like skill, it was also very much mindset and environment and everything that you were doing. So I guess it also gave me a much deeper understanding of what I was doing and why certain things were being successful in the progress I was making and what things I didn't really need to invest as much time in. So it just gave me a very tangible way of not just being aware, but really understanding why I was training in the way I was training and, what to improve, what to increase and what to eliminate on a number of areas. Because I've now started evaluating it, like I've almost got like a checklist of what to sort of measure up against. So for me, what I started seeing is where I had holes in my training and where I was doing well, but then could improve more. So as a tangible example, I'm really not around enough people and environments where people are doing and achieving what I would like to as I get better. It's not that I could immediately change that, but it's also made me give different value to opportunities that have come up that will now provide that. This year we are having the opportunity to travel overseas and do a 10-day camp in Italy and then be part of a really big European championship in
Mm.
Germany. Even though I would have always been excited to do something like this, it has now put a very different value and almost different intent with how I'm going to approach being there. Not only am I going, oh wow, this is exciting, I get to go overseas, but it's like, oh my goodness, this is an opportunity for me to be immersed in this environment and learning, and just understanding that I feel is going to give me so much more out of that experience because of the intent I'm going to take to it because of
Mhm.
what I've now learned. I've written out sort of like
Yes.
11 or 12 books from your course. And one of the things that, talk about is, mastering the basics. And of course, this was always something that I valued and understood that it was important. But I think what it's made me do when I really look back at what the basics are is it kind of made me realize I needed to break it down to an even more basic level. So for me, it became then really targeting and focusing on really, like you talk about sharpening or investing in proper form. So for me, that meant coming right back to the kind of conditioning I was doing in my body. So I was like, okay, I'm spending quite a lot of time in trying to correct my routine, but my body, how's that moving? Well, it's not actually, it's got limited range in this area. So I've then introduced different types of training into the body, because I'm like, well, before I can improve here, this needs, like, it's almost like the basics became more basic to what I needed to refine. I still am. I think this is a big area of improvement for me. I spend a lot of time improving on my weaknesses or focusing on weaknesses to improve. But what I don't do is focus on my strengths.
Yeah, exactly.
So I really realized, and this is actually something, because your course is something I kind of like go back to. I feel like the first time you listen to it, you kind of download the overall picture, and then I feel like you've got to keep going back and re-listening to things.
Yes.
And I think for me, I really need to go back and start identifying my strengths, even from like a motivational point of view, and focusing in terms of the mindset part of it. So for me, when I went into your course, I was really, really struggling with mindset. Like everything was feeling just really too hard physically, and mentally pushing past it. Even though I'm a very disciplined person, I was just kind of feeling like, oh my goodness, like, it's just such hard work, and the sustainability of it was starting to really wear me down. I was starting to question whether I could keep doing this. Your course, where you talk about the pain of not achieving what's most important to you, that really, really spoke to me, because I guess like it was, at that point I was really struggling. Like the rewards kind of weren't there enough for me as the motivation for why I was doing it. But then looking from it from the point of view that, hey, if I gave up now, the pain of that, it can always like, and really like sort of getting in that zone and feeling it, like that was really enough for me to kind of start pushing past things and, refocusing on things in my mind, how you explained it, but also going, hey, others feel like this and others have to use this, and they've still been able to get to a higher level. That's pretty bloody motivating. So.
Yeah, it pretty much doesn't leave any option anymore, right? Was there anything specific that helped you most? What do you think was most effective in your case?
Like I said, for me, one of the biggest struggles was mentally, and it was leading up to sort of like our biggest championship of the year. And something I was really struggling with, and still an ongoing battle. Like it was emotionally, like I'd almost feel emotionally blocked. So our coaches would make a fix, and they'd be like, "All right, do this," and like it's not that I would never do it, but I'd always go into it almost like stricken by fear that I couldn't do the task. But I was allowing that to almost dictate what I was capable of. So then I was questioning my ability constantly. So then learning about the fact that our emotions are actually a really shitty guide to, for me, hearing that out loud said from someone who's achieved things to a high level and in a very complicated skill. And again, it first of all, it normalizes what you feel. Go, okay, so this is all just normal stuff people feel as they're going through this process. So this isn't actually
out of the factory. We come like that.
That's it. But also the fact that, not to listen to that as a guiding voice, because, there's so much, I guess, you hear about like, being aware of your emotions and all that, and, how that you need into that. But in this case, you've literally got to go, shut up. Like, it means nothing.
Yes. So one last question is, if there's anyone watching this who is on the fence about joining the program, what would you tell them?
All this is an investment. So, in any, I guess, like achievement, you've always got to invest into it, because it's these kind of investments that propel you further quicker. So for me, like even if you just gain a better understanding of yourself and your own processes, then there will be 100% something that you take out of this, even if it's just one point, that will be such a vital point for you to taking a next step or higher step. Like, it's worth the investment. There's no such thing as wasted education, especially when it's coming from a tried and tested source. Like, you haven't just gone and written this course based on theoretical ideas. Like, you've lived what you've written about, and you've studied the hell out of what you've written about. And, you know, it's actually very lucky for us to have people like you that have already, you know, this is like, you know, decades of process for you that you have been able to consolidate. And for us to have access to that kind of knowledge, you know, for anyone that's on the fence, for me, it's just do it, because it's you can't regret these kind of investments. They always propel you.